Since a young age, about 14 years old, I was attracted to the beautiful deserts around this lively city. And spent a lot of my time in these deserts, and they taught me a very important lesson, and that's the power of simplicity. So meeting here today creates a great connection with the main idea I want to share with you, simplifying the matrix of collaboration. I believe that in this way we can change the world, create a new paradigm, and implement that in our life can create higher value for each one of us and for human society. It took me a while to understand collaboration, actually 20 years. And my journey began at November 1995 at the assassination of the Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. He was shot by an Israeli citizen that disagreed with his political views. That event changed the course of my life. After a couple of days of the initial shock, I decided to do anything in my power to create transformation in the Israeli society. What kind of transformation? One that would bring people to listen to each other, one that would bring us to try to understand others, even if we do not agree with their opinions. And I understood that in order to do that, I must focus on two main dimensions, two areas of our lives. One is the place we work, organizations, and the other is the area we live and grow, and that's communities and schools. So great professionals joined me on this path, and we developed and implemented tools of negotiation, mediation, teamwork, and consensus building. During the years, I understood that these means are not enough. The world is becoming much more complex, with higher level of mutual dependency, and it's not enough only to work on these dimensions. Systems must work together in order to deal with the complicated challenges we have today in the world, such as poverty, immigration, terror, education, and more. I understood something else, that there's a huge gap between understanding collaboration is important and doing that the right way. If in the past one would say collaboration is something nice to have, today most of us would say collaboration is a must. It's not nice to have. But still, usually we don't have the tools to execute that in the right way in our lives. And I started to understand that our society, our culture, is stuck in an old paradigm that we see collaboration as something really important, but we do not know how to implement that in the right way. And this paradigm is based on two main assumptions. One assumption is that everything is personal, okay? That it's all about relationship. And then if we do not have a profound, good relationship, collaboration is at risk. It won't really work. Another thing there is that we can, when things are not working, we can always blame the other side, and we love blaming the other side when things are not working. It's very easy to do. The second assumption is that usually people will react to this issue as something which is very heavy and very difficult to execute, and something which is very complicated. And as a consultant, I am fond of complicated processes. I deal with that. I get paid to deal with these kind of situations, but I ask myself, is it really necessary to go all the way with these complex situations? And during the years, I understood that also I do not really understand collaboration. It took me a while, but I understood that I missed something there. And what was amazing to see at that stage is that not only I'm dealing with collaboration, the world is passing a very sharp and very rapid revolution about collaboration. You can see here some examples. These are terms and initiatives from the last years. Now, this is only the tip of an iceberg, a big iceberg, a moving and growing iceberg, and nobody can predict where human society is going with collaboration, but something very big, very strong is happening there all over in many, many areas. And understanding that, with that, you can see another thing which is happening, very interesting. There's a huge and deep transformation in the way we perceive the limits between cooperation and competition. Something there is happening. The limits are becoming fuzzy, And you can see two new emerging, beautiful, fascinating terms that they're so new that when you write them in the computer, you'll get a spelling mistake. One is frenemies. That's from diplomacy. Today, we're not talking anymore about friends and enemies in diplomacy. We're talking about frenemies. The other, from business, is competition. And competition is actually creating cooperation between firms that are in competition. And you can see a beautiful example. Eventually, it's all about leaders. Leaders create this change. And in Microsoft, almost 2 years ago, Satya Nadella became the CEO of Microsoft, and he decided to collaborate with one of the biggest competitors of Microsoft, that's Apple. Now, they will still have competition, but creating dimensions where they can cooperate creates higher value for their customers and, of course, for themselves. Other examples you can see with airline alliances, and MIT and Harvard collaborating in creating EDX online university. Going on with my search regarding collaboration and understanding that I don't really understand collaboration, I was restless. And as a consultant, and also as a professional, and also as a manager, I wanted to create something which is different, also for myself and also for organizations, communities, and societies. So take a fresh look at this new paradigm. We're talking about systematic and structured collaboration, and this is something which is very different from the old paradigm. The main pillars here are understanding and measuring each collaboration at each stage, each case. The second thing is creating high-velocity value, not necessarily long processes which are complicated. And the third thing is manage collaboration and not being managed in collaboration. Now, changing paradigm is very complicated. Okay, it's a change. I'll ask you something. Please hold your hands like this, all of you. Is it comfortable? It's comfortable. Now change the position and hold your hands like this. It's a bit less comfortable. Okay. Now, if you'll wait a couple of minutes, you'll see that naturally, and maybe you will not notice that, you'll go back to the position which was more comfortable. Okay, so changing is very difficult, and also changing paradigm about collaboration. So in order to change the paradigm, I was asking myself and my team, how can we create something which would be very practical? A model, a visual model, something we can use and implement in the field in every case that we have. So we started to asking ourselves about the terms of collaboration, because many times you can see that people use the same term but have different expectations and different definitions about where they want to get with their partners. And many times it's the opposite. We use different terms, but we mean the same thing. So we started looking at that, and we got a result of 3 main layers we have in collaboration. We have in partnership at all. We have coordination, cooperation, collaboration. And I will give an example that will demonstrate this idea. One of the processes I'm most proud of is in one of the biggest multicultural cities in Israel. And I was asked to create collaboration between the leaders of different groups of Jews, Muslims, and Christians, of religious and secular groups, and of different immigrant groups. And we tried to create collaboration, but on the way, during this, I understood that collaboration is not always necessary, is not always possible. For example, these leaders decided to coordinate when there's a crisis that might light up the city, to cooperate on specific projects or events, and to collaborate regarding the challenge of youth violence. So collaboration is not always necessary, it's not always possible. But understanding these terms create a mutual expectation. And we can understand how we get better aligned with our partners and we don't have different expectations. The next stage, we ask ourselves how we can create or extract from all the processes we facilitated during the years some main essentials of each collaboration. And we found 4 main essential elements of collaboration, which we can find in any level of coordination, cooperation, collaboration, or competition. These are the main levels we're talking about, the elements we're talking about: value, structure, interaction, and commitment. We started with the why question, okay? And a couple of years later, I saw Simon Sinek's great TED Talk, starting with why, and I understood the intuitive process we've done before. And we're actually asking, why are we in collaboration? Okay, think about yourself. Why are we in collaboration, and what interests we have there, what needs we have there, what goals we have in there. I will give a glimpse at the model from another different process I facilitated. One day, a CEO of a large industrial firm asked to meet with me. And I heard he's not really fond of processes and consultants, so I asked to meet him at the evening at a bar to get the edge of things. And after the second beer, things went quite well. And he shared with me that they had a glass ceiling regarding their business growth. And it's because of lack of collaboration between the eight divisions they have in that scattered big firm. And I met with the manager, the division managers, and it was obvious that none of them were clear about the value of collaborating with the others. So this time, we didn't go to the bar. I packed the whole management team to the desert, to a location, beautiful location, not far from here. No electricity, no cellular reception. So we had the simplicity and the intimacy needed to create the transformation we wanted to create. Here you can see some of them working on a tough issue, a tough mission I gave them. That's the CEO with his back to us. And this process succeeded because of two reasons. One, leadership. It's usually about leadership, also with correlation to collaboration. The CEO was clear on his target and the value he wanted to create, and at the same time, he was humble enough to take part in a process with listening and creating decisions with the other managers. And that's not easy because most of the managers were used to have all the answers, we're used to know. So humbleness is very important in collaboration. The second thing, they could easily connect with this model, with the ECA, with the effective collaboration analysis model, and work step by these elements. So when we worked on the first element, the value, we asked the why questions. I said them before, why are we in collaboration? And they had a good map, a nice map of their different interests, and they had an understanding about the value they wanted to create together. After we asked the why questions, we asked the how questions. How on the formal level and how on the informal level. Now follow me because this is very simple. That's the main idea, the simplicity of collaboration. So asking about the structure, that's the how on the formal level. We're asking about roles, responsibilities, procedures, etc., and they created decisions there. One of the nice decisions they created together was to nominate a senior role in the term of CCO, Chief Collaboration Officer. Now, this is an emerging term you can see today in more and more organizations as part of this paradigm shift. After the formal, we're asking about interaction, how on the informal level, and here we're asking about, we asked in that process about the trust. We had to clean bad blood that was created by the ears, and of course create the partnership language of them speaking together and managing collaboration on the interpersonal level, which is very important. The fourth element is commitment. I'm very worried when I go to management floors and I see the posters and roll-ups with declarations of one company, of synergy, and at the field nothing is really happening. And this is happening quite a lot. So we created this, the last element, which is the commitment, which is the way we walk the talk. And when we got to that, in that process, they created quite a lot of action items, including maintenance and ongoing processes with exact timelines. What you can see usually, and this is very interesting, is that when you get to the commitment element, both sides describe or think, they perceive that they are putting more effort and putting collaboration with the other side in higher priority, and the other side is not doing the same. Now, both sides says that. So the managers look at this picture, they understand they must take more responsibility on their collaboration. So this is a glimpse at the model. And why a pyramid? Because these are the 4 core elements of collaboration, and we can see each one of them as the side lock of the pyramid. So it means that when one of them is weak, the whole pyramid is weak. And besides that, the pyramid resembles also simplicity and stability. That was my journey, and it will continue to be my journey. My purpose in life is to study the issue of collaboration and to create transformation in our society, because I really believe, as most of us, that our world can be a better place. And the only way to do that is to do that together. I believe that changing our paradigm and using simple tools, we can create a world with less wars, less terror, less lawsuits, less divorces, and better collaboration in our families, businesses, communities, also on the international level. I think creating something simple can be a real game changer for all of us, also for our lives and for others. And looking at you, I'm wondering if you're scanning the collaborations or partnerships in your life, from marriage life all the way through business to international partnerships or interactions we have also around us. And we're talking about the full range. And I really believe that each one of us can create higher value by these tools and can create a difference in our lives and in our communities. It is in our hands, and I believe we can navigate things in a better way. We just need to be a little bit more skippers than sailors. So, educators, teachers, I invite you to think about how you can implement these ideas with your students, because I believe that for students today, learning and practicing collaboration probably is much more important for their success in the future than any other subject they study today. And for the leaders amongst us, I invite us to try to take collaboration to a place that will transform society. Simple tools can create huge transformation, and it's in our hands. Thank you.